All right, so the divisional previews continue, and I shift over to the AFC East, and I'm going to start with who should be, in most people's minds, I would assume, the presumptive cellar dweller this year, and that is the New England Patriots. I'm going to say this. It was an adjustment several years ago seeing Tom Brady leave after 2 decades in New England and then play for 3 seasons in Tampa Bay. It's going to feel even more different, weirder, to see the Patriots this year without the hoodie Bill Belichick on the sidelines. Like, after almost 2.5 decades, he's gone. And the crazy thing is, for a guy that took the Patriots to 8 Super Bowls, won 6 of them, it wasn't a moment too soon for most Patriots fans because he was past his prime as a coach, especially in this situation. Or you could say it was really Bill Belichick, the general manager, that screwed over Bill Belichick, the head coach. But even at a certain point, I think over the past 2 years, you could start to criticize the head coach as well. Like, there's a shelf life for NFL head coaches, and Belichick, well over 2 decades, it started to exceed his shelf life. And in particular, you say the past few seasons, there's a small hit on his legacy because he really didn't do shit without Tom Brady. He fucked up Mac Jones. You might say, well, Mac Jones was a very good one. Maybe he isn't. But the way he was handled certainly wasn't. Like, I saw Bill Belichick the other day. He was talking about Caleb Williams. And I get what he's trying to say, and I'm not even saying he's wrong, but of all the fucking people to talk about it, you got your ass carried by Tom Brady for a long fucking time and then had a fucking hard-on for Bailey Zappi. Maybe when it comes to the quarterback position, Bill Belichick doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I'm just saying. I know he does, but in that moment, no, he fucking doesn't. But it's going to feel really different. And it's Gerard Mayo that's going to be manning the helm. And the Patriots certainly have to be hoping that he's their version of DeMeco Ryans. Young, exciting assistant, former player, former linebacker, former player for the team that he is now the head coach of, in his 30s, yada, yada, yada. Like, it's crazy to think about. Gerard Mayo is several years younger than I am. But I also find it interesting, if you really wanted to move on from the Bill Belichick era, why are you picking more fruit from the Bill Belichick rotted coaching tree? I don't know. It doesn't really make much sense to me, but we are here. So not only is the Gerard Mayo era starting in New England in 2024, so is the Drake May era. Well, not yet. Because for some dumb dick reason, they're going to roll with Jacoby Brissett to start the year. And it's just fucking dumb. You were picking number 2 overall for a reason, because you stink. If you're worried about, well, the skill talent around Drake May isn't that good, well, if he's that good, he will elevate them. If you're worried about the offensive line not being able to protect him, what happens if your offensive line still sucks in 2025 or 2026? You're going to wait until 2027 to fucking start Drake May? And this whole notion of you're better off sitting and learning. In no work type in the fucking world is it better to be in training classes than doing the real thing. That's where you always learn the most shit. That's where you learn the best shit. Yeah, you need some of those foundations that are laid in the film room, in the classroom, in the training room, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to apply and practice the skills that you learn. So this notion of you're better off with Jacoby Brissett starting, the fact that it's even a debate answers itself. Drake May should be the fucking guy. And of all people, Jacoby fucking Brissett? It'd be one thing if you still had Tom Brady there in his late 40s or some shit, and you're like, well, it's Tom Brady. He's starting as long as he's here. Then I get it, right? Or if it was like the Jets drafted Drake May, but they're saying, hey, we're going to sit him behind Aaron Rodgers in 2024. Then I get it. The situation and circumstances are different, but you ain't got that fucking here. Jacoby Brissett is a journeyman, nice kind of like locker room guy, backup quarterback type, and that's it. Stupid. Stupid, fucking stupid. And he can't convince me otherwise in this case. I think the Patriots are going to stink. When they make dumb dick decisions like that, it won't be surprised when they stink. I think even most Patriots fans acknowledge they're going to stink because they should, because they will. I really think what you're going to see, though, is years of poor Belichick drafting really manifesting in 2024. Just because when you look at the roster, you don't see much there. You really don't. So, lose them all. No. Hurry up and get Drake May in and get him this goddamn experience when there's not much pressure on. So that way you can find out whether he's the guy or not, because the clock is ticking. You've drafted him now. You got to find out. I think the Patriots win 3 or 4 games this year. And that won't even be a disrespect to Gerard Mayo. Like, him winning 3 or 4 games with this team and being competitive in some others might be a great coaching job, because this certainly is not a great team. When I look at who else is in the AFC East, I look at the New York Jets, and they have to hope that 2024 is going to be a different story, because otherwise the seat will be on fire for general manager Joe Douglas and head coach Robert Saleh, and it should be. Like, how many more chances are they going to get? You could excuse 2023 to some degree because of Aaron Rodgers' Achilles injury after like 4 snaps, but you ain't going to be able to get away with that excuse again. Like, part of the thing getting Aaron Rodgers is you're supposed to win now. If he's going to be healthy for a whole season, you got to win now, especially since Aaron's going to be, 41 this year? Yeah, it's now or never. And you saw that it reflected a bit in the offseason and the approach that this front office took. They brought in Mike Williams to beef up that receiving core. They added 3 new starters at offensive line in Tyron Smith, John Simpson, Morgan Moses. And it makes sense, right? You got to improve that offensive supporting cast, especially around Aaron Rodgers, because you're going to be pointing to him and to have some type of resurgent season. And all the while, you're still going to need another higher-end performance from the defense. But I think when I look at the Jets, like, what realistically can you expect from Aaron Rodgers? You can say, well, he was the back-to-back MVP in his late 30s in 2020 and 2021. Yeah, just think about how far back that is now, right? 2022, he was already starting to look a little on the downside in the backslide of his career. And then he misses basically all of 2023, and now you got a plus 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers in 2024. I'm not buying it. I'm not. I think this is it for him, and he might have some flashes, but from a consistent game-in, game-out basis, the Jets are going to need him to be Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to be not nearly enough of that level of Aaron Rodgers. And frankly, we haven't seen that level of Aaron Rodgers in 3 years. Not just going to magically come back all of a sudden. So I think the Jets struggle to reach 500 to win maybe 8 games this year. For the Buffalo Bills, big story in the offseason was losing Gabe Davis in free agency, letting go of Stephon Diggs. He's off in Houston now. So for a team that's supposed to be built around Josh Allen, he loses his top 2 wide receivers. On the defensive side of the ball, top sack man from last year, Leonard Floyd, is also gone. Really feels like this is the last gasp for this current iteration of the Bills as they're constructed. And I'm sorry, but at this point, the seat needs to be hot on Sean McDermott. Like, they had a window here, and they fucked it up multiple times. And you can say, well, they won a lot of games under Sean McDermott, and they absolutely have. And if Sean McDermott was fired, somebody would be quick in 2025 to hire him, and they should. He shouldn't have to wait long. He has enough of a resume. He's done enough to necessitate easily a second head coaching job in the NFL and be able to pick a good spot nonetheless. But you're getting to the point now, you're running out of excuses. You're running out of defenses here. You're not doing this to win 10 games or 11 games, maybe win your division or get to the wild card, win a playoff game. You got a guy like Josh Allen, you're supposed to be contending for world championships, for the Super Bowl, to appear in the Super Bowl, and they haven't done that. And when they've gotten close, it's actually been sometimes McDermott's defense that is face planted. So, like, this is it. And what I worry a little bit about with the Bills is a team that in some ways was already too dependent on Josh Allen for their success. With the loss of Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, becomes potentially even more dependent upon him all the while with less around him. So I think you got Josh Allen, you still got some pieces there. So this could be like a double-digit win team, but I'm not as bullish as I have been on the Bills maybe the last 2 years. Maybe I'm coming to my senses, but I just don't like the vibe here, and it feels like this is going to be the end of an era, so to speak, in Buffalo in 2024. I think right now the team that's poised most likely to reign in this division is the Miami Dolphins. Yes, they lost guys like Christian Wilkins and Brandon Jones in free agency, but they brought in guys like Jordan Brooks and Jordan Poyer and Jonnu Smith on the offense, get them a better receiving option at tight end. They did sign Shaq Barrett, but a couple months later he retired, whatever the hell that was about. Must spend more time with your family. You couldn't have held out for a few more months and made yourself another $7.5, $10 million. Your family would have been cool, I promise you. It's just weird. But the biggest decision for the Miami Dolphins this offseason was whether they were ready to commit huge money to Tua Tagovailoa, and we got the answer, and they certainly did. They gave him the big money, so it's clearly his team. It's him, it's Mike McDaniel walking hand in hand now. So it's time for Tua to play up to that big contract, especially in the big spot. Their skill set, their skill group, when you look at Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, this is the fastest skill set group in NFL history, is it not? And if Achane can stay healthy all year, like it's track meet shit. Just, you saw it last year when Achane was healthy and getting the ball. He was a difference maker for this offense. So you got to hope to God he can hold up for most or all of a season if you're a Dolphins fan. Because if he does, it just gives another dimension of speed in a different way, from a different angle in this offense, and makes them scarier. I know all the focus is on the offense, but it's the defense that's going to have to step up to really contend. I don't buy them as like a defense that you can win a championship with, but I do think they're going to be a little improved this year, even with the loss of Christian Wilkins. I think the Dolphins will win 11 or 12 games. I do think they're the best team in this division, and I don't know that anybody's a serious threat to them.